Welcome back to the video series on test components. I am Stephen Duffy, Senior Systems Engineer here at Keysight. In today's segment, we will be diving into security and malware components. In the past video, we discussed the basic differences between these two components. As a summary, the primary difference between these is that security component is focused on application and service vulnerabilities such as SQL injections, Apache server exploits, or deserializations, while the malware is exactly as what it sounds like. It focuses on the malware mitigation testing. First, we're going to create a default security component. Now click on the pen and paper. One of the first parts you will notice is that there isn't as many configuration knobs to play with as with application tests. This is primarily due to most security component tests are focused on a device or service's weakness through known vulnerabilities instead of a volumetric attack like DDoS. Since a large portion of configuration in application testing is based on realistic load generation, we eliminated that for the security component. The first thing to do is to verify you are testing with the correct strike list. Click on the ellipsis to bring up all strike lists and choose strike that you want to use. Now, after choosing your strike list, if you are unsure if it has the correct attacks, click on the pen and paper. Each time you leave the configuration page, it will ask you to save. Now, this page is showing you all of the attacks that are within the strike list. If you want additional information, click on the plus next to the strike you want to learn more about. Now, if you find a strike that you do not want on your strike list, all you have to do is click the trash can and it will delete it off of the strike list. If this is a pre-canned strike list, you'll need to do a save as to create it into a modifiable strike list. The next part is the evasion profile. As you recall from previous video, the evasion profile gives your attacks ways to avoid detection from your security devices and tools. We are basically giving you the ability to use polymorphism to see how can you get past your security. By default, none of these evasion techniques are turned on, but if you want to enable them, you have several options. First, you can use a pre-built profile by clicking on the ellipsis. The second option is that you can choose one of the profiles and then you can modify it for your needs. This is recommended ways of using evasion profiles. You do have a third option, which is to build the profile from scratch. To do this, you'll just click on this larger green plus sign. But today, for this video, we're going to show you how to make one from a pre-built configuration. To do this, just choose the profile you want to use and then click on the pen and paper. As you scroll, you'll see what evasion techniques are already enabled. You will notice this by seeing the allow override active. So for this one example, it's going to be changing the maximum chunk size. For your options of evasions, you will have global, which will activate on any type of strike or protocol. Then you will have your standard layer 2 to layer 4 headers, which you can modify, such as MTU size, fragment sizing, and changing the TOS. Now after that, you even can go into finer detail by choosing protocol-specific evasions. As we scroll down here, you'll see different protocols that you can choose from, ranging from SMTP, HTTP, FTP, SIP, POP3. There are a lot of different protocols that you can choose from. There's too many for us to discuss all of them in this one video. Now these last configurations options are fairly straightforward. We will give you a quick summary of them. Delay start is used when you want to run a comprehensive test and you want to start running some application traffic for a few minutes, and then we say around minute 2 you want to start the attacks. This is commonly used for security testings with next-gen firewalls or IPS testing. Strike list iteration allows you to go through the full strike list multiple times. The next few options are for rate of attacks to limit the number of attacks per second or limit it by packet rate. Now the last part, random seed, will let you decide if you want to create a static or dynamic content. If kept at a default 0, it will generate random payload for each strike. Now if you use any other number in there, it will create a static strike, so every time you rerun this test, the payloads will always stay the same. Now after configuring your security test, you can save this as a template by clicking Save as Template. Malware Component is set up very similar to Security Component, but let's take a few minutes and show you what the differences are. Like Security, you can select or modify your strike list. With malware, you also get the evasion profiles. Now within the profiles, we do have a dedicated segment for malware. This includes options to change compression method, transport protocol, and encoding modifications. As with security, you get to set the rate at which breaking point sends malware. A big difference in the configuration option is that with malware, we give you the ability to also set data limits. This is due to malware having the capability to be sent as a volumetric attack. Just like a security component, you are able to save this as a template. If you're interested in additional information, please reach out to jointhejourney@keysight.com.